validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Still working out the differences between the 16:9 and 9:16 formats on StreamYard. So we got us a little bit of a difference today. We'll figure it out as we go along. I want to say I'll leave it up to you guys to decide, but I also look at the fact that, hey, it's a difference that we have to adjust to, and then we got to determine like where can we improve, because when we're talking about improvements, we got to try it. Then we've got to gauge it versus past success. And then we have to determine which one is the best fit for our objectives. Similarly, we do the same thing when we are analyzing our engagements and our relationships with our friends and our social networks. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about today, which is discussing how to elevate your social network. I just realized that the other thing isn't plugged in there. There it goes. I was like, man, it was supposed to be at. It's one of those things. And we're live. So, everything that can happen will happen while we're live. And the show must go on. recognize that we're live 7 nights a week. We don't let the sun rise without going live. So sometimes we're supposed to start about 20 minutes ago. And we always find a way to get here a little bit after the top of the hour. So expect us to come within the hour, but we are on every night of the week. And we have a different topic for you every night of the week. There's different areas of improvement that we can utilize with business, financing, investing, getting jobs, keeping jobs, changing our social network, which is what we're going to be talking about today, improving our relationships, improving our interactions with our friends, families, and loved ones, and working all around to giving ourselves a better way of life. So today we're going to be talking about how to do this specific portion of things. Tomorrow we have a different topic on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is our members only. That's open to the public. That allows for questions and comments from the fans across all areas, because on this and that we talk about this, that, and everything in between. So as long as it's appropriate, there's nothing we can't talk about. However, we have to remember that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to be talking about business and finance topics. So we're going to be talking about ways to make money, save money, and invest money specifically on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But if we get a few tips along the way that we could throw in there Thursday through Sunday, we throw some money-making opportunities in there as well, investment opportunities in stocks. Remember, we're still working on that dividend rotation strategy. So if you're following along with the dividend rotation strategy, you know that we're buying in on Orchid Island before tomorrow. So if you haven't, you want to get it on the books before midnight, so that if you're registered on the books tomorrow by the end of business day, you qualify for that ex-dividend. Likewise, we're going to be looking over the weekend, over the next couple of days, as to how high the Orchid Island stock went, to see if it made it back up to the 712 or even higher than what it was when I bought in, to determine if, in the event that there will be a loss versus a sale, that offsets the dividend distribution from the dividend value from the buy-in. We're going to be telling you guys how to make what else to do, because after Orchid Island is International Seaway. So for those of you that are diving into the dividend rotation strategy for the first month of trying it, after we walk away from Orchid Island, we're walking into International Seaway, and then we'll be giving you, as we get closer to International Seaway, we'll be giving you others that we will be buying into, so that you know which ones that we're going for and what the dividend distribution looks like over time. So as we're on the books, we will be buying and selling. And then as we get the dividends distributed from the shares that we invested in, I'll be able to tell you what the values are based on my levels. But if you guys invested as much or more than what I did, then you should be seeing the same results, which also means that instead of following those memberships that you have to follow for investors that are claiming to teach you guys how to invest by buying their knowledge and information, you can get that same investment knowledge and information from me for free. So there isn't a publicly issued strategy that I can't find out about if I haven't already talked about it. So there are literally no inside secrets legally that are tradeworthy that this channel can't talk about, can't cover it, and doesn't know anything about. So by all means, I know that you can come up with different stock options. You can come up with different investment platforms that we may have covered or we may not have covered in a while. But that does not mean that how to buy, sell, and flip to make profits and make extra profits. We haven't covered that at least once, if not 18 times already. Note that we just talked about last Tuesday. Yeah, this past Tuesday, a couple days ago, about the tax implications from short-term selling versus the long-haul holding. So take a look at that. About halfway through the show, we were giving you the ins and outs of the difference between the $0 taxes up to $97,000 for stock trading versus the regular standard rate, and what do you got to do to qualify for that. So you could always watch some of the other shows, Tuesday shows that talk to you about the investments and money, and then all the rest of the shows throughout the week that we tell you about everything else. So since we've gone past our morning announcements, we also give you guys updates as to what political decisions that are being made that impacts us in the immediate, and what we have to do to pivot around that. The same way I gave you guys that heads up about having that gold star on your driver's license or having a passport card to fly, and how individuals without the um, proper documentation will start having a hard time when they're engaging customs and TSA and other government entities that are specifically looking for those individuals that are not U.S. citizens. So just note that as things progress, we're going to keep you guys updated with all of the information that you need to be successful. And then if you need information that we have not provided, just put it into the comment section and we'll do some digging for you and provide you all of the most relevant and recent information that you would need to be successful. We've covered everything from passports to green cards, import, exports, international traveling, banking, trust, living in other countries. We cover a different country every Wednesday, pretty much everything that you can think about covering. We've covered most of it as long as it's reasonably appropriate. So today we're about to talk to you guys about a really wild challenge. And I want you guys to come along for the ride with this one the same way you did earlier this week, because we're on a mission to supercharge your social circle and see just how many real effective connections that you can spark in just a short period of time. But here's the thing. I know that I'm not alone in this struggle when we're talking to you guys about how finding a way to improve your network, improve your connections, improve the outsourcing that you're capable of doing, that we come to find that we don't have as many real life connections as we once thought. Now, the next generation of individuals that grew up in social media recognize that they have thousands upon thousands, hundreds, if not millions of followers on their social media platform. And they may get a few hundred or a few thousand clicks on their content. But when we're talking about a true network, we're talking about individuals that will buy your product, sell your mission, support your cause, provide you with knowledge and information and opportunities, individuals that will tip you off on a good deal or tip you off on a potential failure, the individuals that will work towards your success and aid you in preventing you from failing. That's the type of network that we're talking about here. We're not just talking about, a platform full of individuals that log in because they're bored. We're talking about, like, legitimately, when you connect with these people, y'all are benefiting one another. So let's talk about what it really takes to build a network that actually moves the needle. You know that old saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Well, turns out it's actually backed by science. So if you're serious about leveling up your network, you are about to change your life, because it is time to get intentional about who you let into your inner circle. I know we talked about this on a show around about this time last year when I was warning a buddy of mine about putting all of his eggs in one basket, so to speak, when he was networking with a specific individual. And I was warning him about how the effort that he's putting into the other person is not as effective as what he's getting from the other person when it comes down to his personal objectives and his personal goals. And when I was warning him about it, then he started going through some troubles, and then he tried to lean on those same individuals that he provides extra for to provide a little extra back, and they left him hanging. And I was like, damn, that sucks. So that puts him into a compromising position, because he could not achieve the things that he needed to achieve with the network that he had. And, after reminding him of the discussion, we talked about on the show, like, really the difference between people that you don't know, people that you have the identity of, but you still don't really know them, acquaintances, individuals that you kind of know in specific locations, like locational friends or situational friends, where you know just enough about each other to get through this situation, or you guys only know about what you guys do in this specific location. And then you have the actual universal ideology of friends, where you are individuals that you um, distinctly interact with regardless of the situation or the location. And then you have those best friends or close friends, which are the ones that have the stronger bond with you, that are willing to go the extra mile for you. And then you have those levels of family, siblings, brothers, sisters, mothers, aunts, uncles, stuff to that effect, husbands, wives, all that stuff, right? And being able to put a person, if they're not your enemy, they're automatically your friend type of behavior, really adds too many people that are not worthy of being in your network into your network. Just because you engage with this individual, constituents are people that you engage with, but you only engage with them for the sake of business. You know, acquaintances are people that you engage with. You're not necessarily enemies with these individuals, but these people are not your friends. You do for them what they need done, and they do for you what you need done. And that's the fullest extent of your contact and communication with one another. And when we start talking about what they're doing for you versus what you're doing for them, it is in line with your work or their work, or whatever cause that you two are representing together, whatever service that needs to be provided by the provider that's providing the service. That's the fullest extent of the involvement between one another. Just like colleagues at work, colleagues are not friends. You guys work in the same place. You guys have the same employer. You might work on the same shift. I might cover a little bit of your workload, and you might cover a little bit of my workload, because we're both responsible for the overall total workload, but we're not really friends. So this is why we really want to talk about, why does your social circle matter so much, and why we need to reassess and reflect upon a true beneficial network of individuals. So think about it. The people around you open doors to new jobs, game-changing partnerships, and friendships that last a lifetime, if you have a good network. But let's be honest, making meaningful connections can feel impossible sometimes. How many times have you ever walked out of a networking event, pockets full of business cards, but with no real new relationships? And I get it. I've been there before too. It's easy to get stuck in the cycle of small talk, or feeling like you're just not making progress. And when your network's not strong, your growth, your business, your career, even your happiness can stall out. You know, and I've seen friends get stuck in dead-end jobs or watch opportunities slip by, all because they did not have the right people in their corner. I like to give a special shout out to KJ. KJ's been here for a while. He's popped in. It's been a long time since you've come through. Should have been here yesterday when we were talking about Hong Kong and all the things that was going down with Hong Kong. KJ says, hello, my friend. Question: while driving your car, ever been tempted to give someone a hit maneuver? Okay. That's a good question. So let's entertain this question, because here on This and That, we do entertain most questions and comments as long as they're reasonably appropriate. And here's one of those questions. Remember, you guys can like and subscribe as you come to the channel. Also note that you can click the links in the comment section to approve the mic, approve the camera, get brought on in real time. Or as KJ did, you guys can throw comments in the comment section, and as they are appropriate, they will be up here in the comment area. So KJ, have I ever been in a situation where I've been tempted to give someone a pit maneuver? No, I have not. There have been situations where I see special shout out from what is that? Vengeance sins. I'm doing all right. It's a special shout out from Twitch. We got guys from Twitch out there. So as it stands, we got to recognize that first off, I've been in situations where I've raced cars. We have swap paint where cars have brushed up against one another in the middle of the race. We have had situations where instead of passing on the left, I have passed on the right from the right side of the right lane, the far right lane. There have been situations where the vehicle has been able to do most of the stunts that you have seen in Fast and Furious. The driving backwards, the 180-degree spins, the 90-degree turns, the no braking maneuvers. Yeah, pretty much done a lot of those. But the thing about a pit maneuver, the thing about a pit maneuver is you're welcome. The thing about a pit maneuver is that when you're hitting a car to spin them out, you typically end up in a situation where you're either barrel rolling that car down the street or you're crashing into that car. And that's not something that I'm willing to do with my own car. I have done a lot of stunts in the past with my vehicles, and I don't do those things these days going into the future. I mean, I'm cruising at like 40 miles an hour these days. But I mean, back in the day, when like 20 years ago, before college, I used to 180, 195 miles an hour down the street, and I have a driving record to prove it. I used to be a delivery driver at one point in time, and I tell you what, I made more money than the entire staff combined because I got there. My driving skills was to the magnitude of those driving commercials where cars were just ramping over hills, coming out of the bushes and all that other stuff. So definitely, yeah, it doesn't. It takes back memories, but it doesn't take away from the things that we've done recently where I'm cruising now. But I want to point out real quick, he asked me, what's this podcast about? Vengeance, this podcast is a podcast that's about learning how to improve yourself and improve your finances. We go over financial information. We go over investment opportunities, how to start businesses, how to build trust, how to improve your relationships, your social interactions, and how to, basically deal with better first-person accountabilities. Because if your lifestyle or your situation sucks in any way, shape, or form, instead of blaming somebody else around you, your government, the people in your neighborhood, the police, whatever the case may be, you have to take responsibility, first-person accountability for the decisions that you made or the decisions that you allowed to be made in your situation that led you to a situation you could not get yourself out of. I'm teaching you guys that there is another way where you guys can put more effort into making better decisions, and a better decision is a decision that best fits with your objective, which best fits your agenda. It's not just a good idea because I say so. It's a good idea because it gives you a good outcome. That's a good idea. That's a good decision, something that aids you in being more successful with what you're trying to obtain in life. So regardless of what that is and how that is, we're going to provide you with everything under the sun about where to go and what to do and how to do it. Unlike most seminars, they give you guys a motivational speech that tells you there is another way you can get to the promised land, but don't tell you how to get there. There is success on the other side of the mountain, but it doesn't tell you how to get there. We tell you how to get there. We give you all of the information to find all the tools and resources that you need to be successful. It is your choice to take the information that you get from us and go and implement it. Now, since we give you guys a plethora of information because we cover different topics every day of the week, we do have some jokesters like KJ that come in and they'll provide us with some entertaining questions and comments to the show. So we do some offbeat stuff, some straw man topics and everything. But for the most part, we're trying to provide that generational knowledge that is used to be common knowledge that's not passed down from person to person and now is ironically being sold by every get-rich-quick seminar scheme that is out there trying to lead you into a position where you're going to you're going to negatively impact yourself by following their lead, because they're not going to give you the downside of what you're about to do. They'll tell you all of the best things in the world about making a decision that they want you to make, and then you will follow through with that, but they won't tell you the negative drawbacks. I give you the negative drawbacks. I told you the positive and negative sides of the dividend rotation strategy. I told you about the 168% return rate, which is the highest return rate that I've seen so far outside of Bitcoin's explosion when Donald Trump took over the presidency. But I also recognize that there are tax implications in there that depending on your tax bracket, you could be hit as much as 24% taxes. But if you made a 168% return on your investment, not including your principal, if you put up 1,000 and got a 1,500 back as a profit, or 2,500 total, including your investment, and they're only going to tax you 24% of the $1,500 profit, you know what I mean? They're only taking like $300-400 off of your 1,500, where 1,000 still made you more than 1,000 in profit. And regardless of how you look at that, for those of us that was getting 0.064 cents on a dollar, leaving it in the savings account, or those of us that were getting an average of 15% return or 14% return, leaving it in a stock option and not moving it at all, you know, getting back well over double what you started with every time helps those of us who don't have it get it, reinvest it, and get more quickly. And the more that you add to it, the more results that you can get in a shorter period of time, which allows you to, even through taxation, to expedite your way into a millionaire status following a 20-year plan or a 10-year plan. Because depending on how much you put down, you can hit millionaire status in 5 to 10 years using the dividend rotation strategy. And we're showing you guys how to do it every month as we walk through. Carl's another one of my guys. I really appreciate Carl for coming in. Taking care of both my parents. Sorry I haven't tuned in lately. Love you, man. Have a good night. Thank you so much, Carl, for stopping by. I really appreciate you coming in, even if it is just for a moment. It's always good to see you. One of my favorite fans, him, Reese Martinez, Max Opposer, his father, Joe, Mr. Pibbs, Mr. Satellite, Usman, some of the ones that really come in and provide a lot of inspiring information. Jesse Hernandez also comes in and provides a lot of positive, influential information to the channel. So I really love it when those guys jump into the conversation. So I really appreciate you for coming through, guy. And Mr. Satellite and Bayside might dive in, and I got them guys little 20-second highlights, but we're going to swing back into the main topic. So first, let's make the make the particular conversation that we have interactive for those of you that's watching, even if you're watching, because on Twitch and Twitter, you guys can comment. And as you've seen from Vengeance from Twitch, your comments do go up onto the screen. So, and I'm also double checking over here on the Twitter scenario to make sure that if the comment section does not do what it's supposed to do, that I will make sure that your comments end up on the channel one way or another. Because, you know, they say cross brand, and it's not always the case. I am a cross brand platform. So everything that we do, you can see it on all the channels that we cover. But type a hand in the chat if you've ever felt like your network could use a refresh, because I see you guys there. I want us to really stop and think about the people that you know outside of your friendship, outside of your personal bond and your connection with those people. Like when you want or need to do something, you're trying to accomplish something, and then you think about the people that you could lean on to accomplish that, and determine how the network that you have is less likely to aid you in accomplishing that. How many of you guys feel like you need an additional group of individuals that would be more beneficial to your ability to access and utilize connections, networks, and resources? Throw yourselves a hand in the comment section. Throw me one of them hands up in the comment section, like that high five hand. Put that in there. But that's why we're diving into advanced strategies that actually work. We've talked about social networks before, but we talked about social networks from a standard perspective, where we were just talking about how you can just uh, build a network by maintaining communication and genuine in-person contact with individuals. But today we're going to be talking about data-driven community engagement, which is one of the things that we find is really important in the modern era to aid you in building up your network system. If you want to connect with the right people, you've got to go to where they are. For example, joining online communities, not just tagging a person on their platform. Now, yes, if you want to learn more stuff from this and that, you want to like and subscribe on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Reddit. We've got a few other different places that we're located at, Pinterest. And if you follow us, if you tag us, then whenever we post something, you'll get that information. And likewise, on most social media platforms, if you like the content that they produce, or if you're learning from the content that they produce, you can tag their platform and you can learn something from those platforms. But when you think Reddit, Discord, or even Facebook groups, you can expose yourself to 30 to 40% more networking opportunities than traditional events. And one of the reasons being is because places like Reddit is a Q&A platform. Quora is also similar to Reddit. You can jump into a thread where there's seriously just questions, and then those questions are answered by the population, where just about anything that you're curious about, somebody will give you the information that you need. Likewise, you're able to connect with those individuals who are able to provide you with the advice that you need to accomplish your goals. You can exchange information with those individuals in the private messages and utilize those individuals as primary sources of information towards your success. That is actually an improvement. It's not just following somebody's feed and reading what pops up on their wall. It's not just like watching people do keg stands in their social media posts. It's like legitimately something that interests you, something that you're trying to achieve or accomplish in life. And you go to online communities that actually do that, so that you can find the ins and outs that you need to find about accomplishing your goal before you start making those attempts. And here's a pro tip. If you host your own local meetups or workshops, businesses that do this see a 15 to 20% boost in engagements and referrals. So why not do that? I've told you this before, that if you're hosting your own local meetups and workshops, instead of throwing yourself a birthday party and inviting all of your broke friends, you throw yourself a local meetup. You can invite your broke friends, but you want to make it a point to invite the appropriate ones that are going to be able to benefit from this particular meetup, and then other individuals that you don't know, so that you can bring more people to your location and potentially turn out more contacts. And there's not a lot of times that the big boss man will show up to the meetups, but somebody in the company might show up to the meetups, and then you can meet one of the secretaries or one of the brokers, one of the agents, one of the interns, and get an inside scoop with getting your foot in the door, with connecting with certain companies and certain industries. And really and truly, what wealthy individuals do is socialize. They spend more of because they don't have to work hard, right? They already have money. So in order for them to expand their knowledge and their wealth, well, not really their knowledge, but their wealth and their connections, is they spend most of their day leaving the house and going and meeting new people and engaging interactively with the public in a positive fashion, so that not only are they seen by people they're not engaging in a positive light, they're engaging with people in public in a positive light, so that they can have a larger connection. This allows them to refer people that they met to other people that need services. That doesn't always put a direct contact in your pocket, but if the person you met benefited from meeting you, even if you refer them to somebody else, that person will refer you to somebody new or refer somebody to you because you're the person that holds all the information that you need to be successful. Joining non-work related groups, meaning sports teams, book clubs, hobbyists, meetups, these can be unexpectedly effective. The environments are relaxed. Now, this isn't like turning upside down at the bar or something to that effect. I mean, yeah, you could potentially go to your local Outback or your local Chili's and hang out with the squad at the bar. You could mingle with individuals in a non-dating format where you're just trying to connect with individuals, and you might end up grabbing a business card or exchanging phone numbers, and this will be the start of fundamental contact and communications with individuals. And you never know when shared passions could lead to your next big break. I am going to tell you that you do got to follow up with these individuals, because if you've connected with them today and you don't communicate with them at all ever after that, they're going to forget that you exist. Then when you do need them, they're not going to know who you are, and you're either going to be deferred to their voicemail or you're going to be redirected to a different department, and the person that you're looking for is not going to engage you the way you need to be engaged. You have to be able to reach out to those people in person. You have to be able to reach out to those people by phone or by text or by email frequently. And frequently is really once or twice a month, so that they remember who you are. So 12 to 24 times a year for a distant acquaintance that knows enough about you so that when you call on them for a business deal, they remember who you are. You know, that aids you with maintaining a decent connection. Now, co-marketing, that's going to be another situation. Co-marketing and collaborative partnerships. We typically see this kind of stuff encouraged in social media podcasting. But if you've ever thought about teaming up with a brand or influencer that's not a direct competitor, that's actually one way to do it. Truth is, you could collab with a competitor if you're doing something and they're doing something similar, and you mesh up with them. Y'all could potentially do something better, and that's ideally called a merger when you partner with your competitor. But if you have an individual that is trying to boost up their awareness and you're trying to boost up your awareness, you guys aren't competing with one another for crowd. Y'all could work together. Y'all could put your resources together and work towards it creating a larger networking opportunity where both of you can benefit from it. Co-marketing can expand your audience by 30 to 40% and generate 20% more leads. So imagine co-hosting a webinar or creating a joint project. Suddenly, you're reaching a whole new circle of people who could become your next big connection. Research shows that friendships between people from different social economic backgrounds can boost upward mobility. One of the reasons being is because those from affluent backgrounds knows who they need to know to get past the front door, and those from the impoverished area knows how to improvise when time gets tough in order to bypass the obstacles after you've gotten into the front door. So you guys could work together utilizing two different areas, improvising and foot in the door method, in order to get further in your success, instead of giving up because you can't get in or giving up because the situation has changed and you're not capable of adapting to that. So you can learn different culture styles by finding individuals that are not in your normal wheelhouse of people that you engage with. Exposure to diverse groups is the first step. Once you're in the room, you're more likely to form meaningful relationships that open doors. that didn't even exist prior to that particular type of engagement, opportunities you would have never known about. Take, for example, back in the day when me and my buddy used to crash weddings. I went to a Greek wedding. I was the only brother there. And I can tell you, the foot in the door, I had an Audi. I parked it in front of the door because I wasn't paying for parking and I did not have a reservation. Not my wedding. Knew nobody there. But going to that wedding, guess what I ended up doing? I met the groom. And by meeting the groom, I ended up driving the groom around. And that led me to meeting the family, which led me to the reception after the wedding. I managed to get the groom to the wedding photos, which aided in the before quill, and then getting the groom to the wedding itself. So the entire event, I went from being just a random person that just dropped in to being a person that actually participated in the success of the wedding. And, that ended up leading me to meeting a whole group of Greek families that I would have never met, never encountered, and a whole different kind of lifestyle that I never would have imagined was a thing until I decided to show up. So once I got my foot in the door, once I got to the location, and then started doing my part, meeting, socializing, and making myself useful, the fact that I wasn't on the guest list no longer mattered, because had I not been there, the wedding would have failed. The groom would have missed the photos and would have been either late or absent completely from the wedding. And that is the kind of stuff that leads to your ability to be more successful. Now, had I followed up with those individuals back in the day, because this happened a long time ago, but had I followed up with those individuals back in the day, I would still have those same connections that I used to have back in the day. So you've got to remember that at least a once a month or twice a month call, once every 2 weeks or so, to send them a text message, send them a phone call or something. You want to do more once a month, giving them a real phone call, leave a message on the voicemail and stuff to that effect. And then, once a month, you can shoot them a text message and let them know that you got something you want to talk to them about. You got an idea. You just want to shoot the breeze and collaborate with them and see how they're doing. And if you're doing that back and forward, then you'll be able to see yourself maintaining long-term relationships. Now, I told you guys that Mr. Satellite was going to be here. Mr. Satellite is here. I know Mr. Satellite told me that if I made him an intro video, that he was going to give me $50. So I made Mr. Satellite an intro video, and I'm waiting on Mr. Satellite to slide me that $50. So here goes the intro video for Mr. Satellite.
I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never
yield. Oh, when you give me the actual $50, it'll show up there. It'll say $50, 50 US dollars coming across the screen. And I think that amount might actually be in red. But looking forward for the day that actually gets deposited. But there goes your intro. I'm a man of my word. I told you it was going to take me a little bit of time to put it together, because I was editing a bunch of other videos for some collabs that I was doing. Speaking of collabs, Fit Chef, I should have put the link up there. I'm gonna have to stick them in there. I made, these are shrimp and bacon and beef burgers. I've got like Colby Jack, pepper jack cheese in these bad boys. It only costs like $80 to buy the ingredients for it, and I've only made 13 so far, but that was like out of the first pound of ground beef. So I do believe that by the time I finish the entire stack, I made the video today, but I got to put it together and put it up on the platform. So probably later this week, you'll see it, because I still got to put up the book that I just got from Alice in Cryptoland, where they were talking about this cartoon book that shows you how to buy and invest in cryptocurrencies and other information. And I thought, oh yeah, you know, since I'm already doing video edits today, I'm going to go ahead and do the Fit Chef. And you see the links to Fit Chef in the bacon wrapped chicken enchilada video that's on the show, and I'm going to put more links on the show for them after today's show, so that every time I start talking about them, I can just throw their link up here onto the top of the screen. But Fit Chef is a good way for you guys to change your diet and save you some money, because that's what we do. We say we got to save money, because if you're living at 90 to 100% of your income, you have to spend less money on your budget in order for you to have more money to invest into turning more profits. So what we've been doing so far is we tell you guys ways to make money. We tell you guys ways to not make bad decisions that'll cost you money. And then we turn around and start telling you guys ways to spend less money and save you money. And spending less money on the things that you don't need, or reducing the cost of the things that you do need, gives you more money that you could put into the things that you want to do, which allows you to invest in stocks, bonds, Bitcoin, ETFs, and all these other things. So one of these things that you do, he said, if you put more effort in the intro, I will give you 100 fake bucks. Make the intro, but I'll give you 100 fake bucks. Well, I'm not in it for fake bucks. I'm not in it for fake bucks. I'll put a decent quantity of effort into it for you for 50 real bucks. I still have the template of the video, and I can edit the video some more, and I can throw some satellites and other such videos in there to more emphasize your persona for 100 real bucks. But for now, a demo. I got one for Bayside too. I'm waiting on Bayside to jump in, because Bayside will be able to get one as well. His is a little bit more in tune with his name style. Kind of reminds me of Baywatch. But you know, and Bayside actually gave 50 bucks to the channel. So, you know, it kind of helps, because the podcast isn't free. StreamYard costs, vidIQ costs, Opus Clip costs. And these are all the platforms that are utilized to put everything into the channel for you guys to go ahead and watch it. He said Bayside is the Giga Chad. Giga Chad. Well, you know, him, Max Opposer, and Reese Martinez, and Talenia from Ukraine also throw a little something on the channel in order to show some support, which aids, because it does cost to run this thing, and YouTube takes half of whatever you guys give me. So, you know, just to make sure I get 25, you got to slide me 50. So, or if you slide me 50, they're going to take half. So I'm only going to end up with 25. And then I put that towards the channel. You know, outside of that, then you have to think about advertisement does cost money as well. So, you know, just to make sure that we get the word out, because a lot of the times we talk about stuff on the show that is controversial, and anything that is a sensitive topic ends up not being pushed by the algorithm. So even if it can still be monetized, it's not being pushed by the algorithm. So viewership ends up being lower than what it's supposed to be, because restricted mode that YouTube has for individuals that don't manually go into their settings and turn off restricted mode. You turn it off on your cell phone, turn it off on your laptop, turn it off on your computer. Because if not, there are certain channels you'll be missing out on, because it is adult content only, whether it is too much language, political discussions, religious discussions, or not child-friendly discussions. That's when, even if it's an educational discussion, non-child-friendly discussions makes that particular video or the channel that promotes that video to be restricted. So, you know, the contributions to the channel helps us promote so that the channel can be seen by more individuals, so that more people can come and learn from us. So you help me help you. That's what the contributions are for the channel. Now, back to improving your network. I told you guys on this and that, we talk about this, that, and everything in between, because I'm helping somebody with their citizenship, where I'm helping some people in real estate. I'm helping individuals with semiconductors. I got a gentleman right now that's trying to change jobs to be a product manager from a project manager in technology. I'm helping get kids into college. It's like there's nothing that I won't do with the right time and effort and energy. So I'm the best in the world at what I do, and I want to make sure that everybody else can do the same. He said, what if the closest rough planet known as SGR J17452900 orbits the solar system? Well, if it's orbiting this solar system, if it is that's a rogue planet. If that rogue planet ends up joining our solar system, I would assume that that particular planet would maintain its orbit around the sun, depending upon its gravitational attachment to the sun. Now, considering the multiple possibilities of that particular type of scenario happening, it could either replace the orbit of one of the planets that it is orbiting the sun, join in orbit where it is on the opposite side of the sun, rotating in the same orbital track as another planet, or it could cross orbits with another planet in this solar system, which could potentially end up colliding with one of the planets, depending upon its orbitable track. He says SGR J17452900 is a pulsar orbiting a black hole. Right. Now it's orbiting the black hole based on the gravitational pull of the black hole. If it broke free from the black hole, wouldn't it ideally be considered a comet or a meteor? Understandably, it's the size of a planet, and it might even be an inhabitable planet if the right environment is presented with solar radiation from a star or a sun. But if it broke away from a black hole and started moving its way through space on an uncharted course, it would be to the magnitude of a massive comet or meteor, right? Because what do we identify a giant planet side? Like, for example, if Saturn or Jupiter was to break free from orbit and just start heading in a straight direction towards any one location, like, what would we identify that as? A moving planet or just a big ass meteor? Because I think the difference between a meteor and a comet is that one is a ball of ice and the other one is a ball of rock. He says, but what if we replace our sun with SGR? Well, if we replace the sun with SGR 2900, if it is producing heat, light, energy the same way the sun is, I would assume that if it is permitting the same gravitational pull as the current sun, that our solar system would follow the new star. Well, if it has a slightly stronger gravitational pull, because it would have to overpower the gravitational pull of the current sun, but it would then cause planets and everything like that to orbit around a different star, which would ideally relocate us in space and change all of our constellations, assuming that no planets collide into one another and there isn't a catastrophic failure of that pulsar crashing into a sun. Is there, what if the crab pulsar coming to Neptune? Well, if a pulsar collides with Neptune, then you're looking at no longer having Neptune. If a pulsar starts orbiting Neptune, then that could potentially change Neptune's environment. And if the pulsar convinces Neptune to change its orbit, then we could either have an odd orbit in our solar system, or we would lose Neptune out of our solar system, assuming that, again, no planets collide and blow each other up. These are a lot of hypotheticals, but I just wanted to entertain that, because we do talk about this, that, and everything in between when we're talking about this and that. He said Pluto is the 8th planet if Neptune don't exist. Pluto's a big ass block of ice. Sometimes they call it a planet. Sometimes they say it's not a planet. Sometimes they've called it a dwarf planet. But Pluto's a big ass block of ice. So it is not inhabitable in any way, shape, or form. And the only reason why it is still talked about is because it is still part of the solar system. But I believe that a pulsar would more likely replace Pluto before it would replace Neptune, unless it's on a collision course with Neptune. That's my observation. All right. That was our astrology for the day. Diversifying your social circle. This is going to be like diversifying your investment portfolio. It actually makes your life happier and more resilient. Research from Harvard Business School suggests that simply reallocating an hour or two each week to connect with someone new or from a different background can significantly boost your happiness and open new opportunities, even if you're already busy. So this means just taking time out of your day, a couple of hours a day, once a week, to go and learn somebody new, not for the sake of a relationship, not for the sake of a hookup, just to add new encounters to potential network suitors, individuals that you can look into. So this is not even gender exclusive advice. You could find some females that are good business partners to some degree. You can find some males that are good business partners to some degree. You could find individuals that have access to knowledge that you don't have, or have access to mentors you don't have, or resources that you don't have, because knowledge and mentors are in fact resources that you can benefit from in whatever field that you're trying to be in. He said, you make a live stream tomorrow night at 11 called Astrology of the Day One with Mr. Satellite. I'll see. I don't know. Because you can dive in at 11 o'clock and start talking about astrology. Because we do segue from the main topic and start talking about astrology. I'm not objective to redirecting to some discussions about planets and stars and black holes and new suns. At some point, I'll still get back to the topic of the day, because there isn't much. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about with astrology. Not much that people can benefit from on a day-to-day encounter, though. They can learn about the stars and the moon and the skies, but a lot of us don't have enough time and energy in our day to be able to look up and notice that there are stars in the sky. A lot of the people that are watching the show right now don't know anything about the planets that you were talking about, or the pulsars that you were talking about, because they don't have enough time to look up and see the traffic light is red. So, in order for, I told you guys this before, but a preacher tried to tell me once, it was one of those Catholic priest guys. Actually, no, I stand corrected, because the Catholic priest guys were a little bit more friendly. It was one of those like Baptist church, like Seventh-day Adventist kind of people. And what happened was, I was talking to the guy, I was explaining to him about some homeless people that were going through some hard times. And he told me that he goes out and he judges the homeless people to determine if they are worthy of, quote unquote, God's love. And I was telling him, I'm like, look, you do what you got to do. But, I believe that you can't force somebody to recognize something that does not impact their struggle. In order for you to get somebody closer to God, the same way I'm going to tell you, in order to get people to recognize and enjoy astrology, you first got to take the trauma and turmoil out of their lives so that they have the ability to take that breath of fresh air, to stop and smell the roses, to look up at the stars and thank God for all of the things that they have now, because they're no longer dwelling on the things that they need. So likewise, I dedicate myself to providing people with the information that they need so that they can accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish, so that they can take a break, so that they can look at the stars and thank God for all the accomplishments that they've made, even if the only accomplishments that they can thank God for is the fact that they made it to a certain point. They're still here and they're not quitting. So, yeah, we could touch base on some astrology tomorrow at 11. I'll be on because we're here 7 nights a week and we talk about something different every night of the week, and we don't let the sun rise without going live. So if you've got some day one with Mr. Satellite about astrology, we'll work it in. We'll work it in. Let's go ahead and continue forward, though. I've told you before about volunteering for a cause being a good way for multiple reasons, because if you start up a 501c3 and you're doing charitable contributions, any capital invested into those charitable contributions are a tax write-off for your personal W-2 and your LLC. And it's because LLCs do not get charity deductions. C corporations get charity deductions. 10% of the total income can be charity deductions, and your W-2 can get charity deductions. Used to be 50%, but after the pandemic, it's like 100% of your money can be donated to a good cause. So as long as you have a written voucher that shows, or the receipt that shows that you've donated capital towards a good cause, you can write that off on your taxes when you file your taxes every year. So if you're volunteering for a good cause, this is something that you care about. Here's some stats related to that. You might be surprised about this, but 80% of professionals believe volunteering expands their network and opens new doors. One, because you're going to meet new people. They're going to see you working like Job under the tree, and they're going to respect and admire you for putting in that contribution. And two, you're going to meet other individuals that are out there with similar mentalities, and then you might find connections with other individuals. You also might find with any court-approved volunteer efforts, you could find yourself coming across individuals who have made mistakes in their past and they want to learn from them and improve. And if you were trying to develop yourself with a mentorship situation or a program that would rehabilitate individuals who's gone through the struggle, you could meet them in their community service ventures and then pull them out of those community service ventures through hard work and effort. So whether it's a charity event in itself, an industry conference, or an online forum, giving your time and expertise builds trust and credibility. And trust me, people are going to notice. They're going to see what you're doing. Multimedia and online communities are something that you can get into, because if you want to stand out, you create engaging content such as podcasts like this one, videos, infographics, and share it in relevant groups, the groups that support that particular type of content. Content with multimedia gets 50% more engagement than plain text. So if you're putting videos and images and stuff into your text, in addition to just the plain text, you're going to see a larger response. So if you get creative and let your personality shine, you'll be able to recognize that you're improving your ability to get your information across, which increases the quantity of return that you're going to receive. Now, while in-person networking is 24% more effective for building long-term relationships, online networking is now a powerhouse. LinkedIn reports that 35% of professionals say a casual LinkedIn message led to a new opportunity, and 25% say it helped them establish a new business partnership. Virtual events, webinars, and live discussions on platforms like Twitter Space, or Clubhouse can put your in touch a skill set with influencers and decision makers that you'd never met otherwise. We have original research and local surveys that provide us with a decent quantity of power and knowledge. Because remember, knowledge is a form of power, and it's one of those resources that doesn't go anywhere. Conduct a survey or a study about your industry or community. Local news outlets are 60% more likely to feature organizations that provide unique insights. So if you're covering a topic and you publicize it, you'll come to find that people may reach out to you on those collaborations. Now, think to the magnitude of if you are creating squeeze pages, like I told you guys before, with the journalism and the affiliate marketing. If you're creating the squeeze pages and you're putting the information where people can find it, then they may want to grab an interview from the author or utilize a co-hosted scenario with the author of the original works. And you'll find yourself in different places writing books and publishing them, or taking your entire platform and organizing it into one linear book that you can then publish. And now you're making book rights. And these are all the things that have to happen. But if you imagine the connections you'll make when you're the one everyone's talking about. Now, make it a two-way conversation, guys. I want to hear from you. Have you tried any of these advanced networking strategies? I want you guys to drop your stories in the comments and chats and share your experiences. Maybe you've co-hosted an event, volunteered your way into a new opportunity, or even landed a big break through a hobby group. Let's celebrate those wins together. You see what I'm saying? Now, spinning the wheel a little bit. We've all had that friend, coworker, or even family member who just brings the vibe down. Maybe they're always negative, stirring up drama, or making you feel drained after every conversation. Here's the thing. When you remove these toxic people from your life, you're not just cutting out the drama. You're actually protecting your mental health, reducing stress, and giving yourself permission to focus on what really matters. Now, Ruderus, special shout out to Ruderus. It's been a while since I have seen you on the show, bro. You were Did you change your profile name, or did you just take a break from chess? Because I'm playing somebody else that's got the same name as you, but here's this Ruderus123. But it's good to see you guys. Extra special shout out to Ruderus, because Ruderus has a decent relationship with a buddy of his from school. He's been working on getting through school. One of those younger, bright, shining stars that I have seen succeed over the years. So I'm excited to see him coming through here, and looking forward to seeing you making your way into college and hopefully carrying the little sister with you. He said, yeah, it was a little busy. Okay, no worries. Because I know that we got finals coming up, and I think this week is the last one. Yeah, I know, that's not the one. He said that's me only, Rooter bro, run 2-3. No, I don't think that's the one that I'm looking at. Let me double check on the one, because I just made moves on this person earlier today. I slipped up. So whoever it is, yeah. Rooter bro 123. That's you. Okay, cool. For some reason, Devontae Brown is challenging me to a match. So that's you. Oh, all right. Yeah, there's like 3 different names up there, because there's one that's Ruta Celis 96, and I'm like, all right, I'll play anybody. I don't really care. I jumped in and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna see where it goes. So you might get me this time around. You might get me this time around because I seen myself slip. I was supposed to move the bishop, but instead of moving the bishop, I impulsively moved the queen. And now I'm like, it's not where I wanted it to be. The queen is now blocking the bishop, and the bishop was supposed to make moves. So now I'm about to do all kinds of crazy stuff to put all the pieces where I want them to be at and see how many of them are left. So this might be your actual victory round. But it depends because, if I can trip you up, I can always turn the tables. If I can get us to a draw, that's the goal. And usually aiming for a draw ends up with winning in my favor. I don't win all the time, but I do have a pretty decent win ratio so far. Now, for the fun part about this networking situation, adding new positive people to your circle. Think about the last time you met someone who just lit you up. Maybe they had a fresh perspective, introduced you to a new opportunity, or simply made you laugh and feel supported. That's the magic of positive connections. So when you surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and lift you up, you'll find yourself more motivated, more confident, and ready to take on new challenges. So here's a real kicker here. When you combine these two moves, removing the negative and adding the positive, you create a social circle that likes equivalent to a rocket. It is going to fuel your goals and speed you into a higher plane. And that's what we're trying to do right here. We're trying to reach higher ground by elevating ourselves and elevating the people around us. So your network will start to reflect your best self as you improve and change your network. Ruderus says the fact is you started off without two pieces. Yeah, I know. I know. I started off without two pieces. I was like, half the board is gone. So I was like, well, let me see what I can do about that. And we'll see, because I was missing a knight and I was missing a rook. So I've only got one rook, and I lost one of my knights during battle. So I have not seen the balance there yet. But I'm going to see if I can make it work, because I know the first handful of games that we played, you were missing two pieces on your side of the board. So let's see if I can do better with two less pieces on my side of the board. That'll be a very interesting turn of events. Now, one of the things you'll notice by improving your network and having individuals that will inspire you and motivate you to be successful, you'll come to find that you'll have more energy and more opportunities and a whole lot more fun. Plus, you'll build a community that's got your back no matter what life throws your way. I think that, because I've told myself, I'm like, yeah, we're going to be traveling the world with the podcast and going different places and doing different things. But another part of my mind is like, I kind of want to just settle somewhere quiet, somewhere like peaceful, and just not have to deal with anything. Right? That is the idea. However, the difference between traveling over 200 countries, that if you lived in one country per month, that's 200 months. Okay. That's, 12 months in a year. So 24 months, that's 2 years. So you're looking at almost 20 years, like 18 years of traveling. Like, that's a lot of traveling. And I don't see, I'm telling, at my current age, I'm thinking like I need to be trying to find a place to stop, not a place to keep going. But I mean, you don't have to travel to all 200 of them. You can just go to like 5 or 10 of the ones that's your favorite. You could find a new place to park yourself, and then once, like 2 weeks out of every season, go visit a different country and then go back to that new place that you're settling down in. Because I mean, if you're living in a country that is providing you a third of the cost of the United States, then you actually have another 3/4 or 2/3 that you can utilize to travel with. So you won't spend a lot of time at home, but you will spend enough time in enough new places where you're never going to get tired of any one location, because you're not there long enough for somebody to do something to piss you off. As long as you're following the rules of the state, the country that you're going to, and then following the rules of the one that you're going to next, as long as you're not breaking any rules, you're good to go. Rudera says, there's one of my friends who is troubled with his life. Gonna join this stream real quick. Yeah, let him bring him in. I've got a little bit of time. I can give him some advice to aid him in his or her success. So if you let them jump into the stream, they can go ahead and tell me what's going on, and I could try to steer them in a positive direction, depending upon what they've got going on. Because some things are instantaneous and some things take a lot of time. I can tell them what they do to get started, or tell them what to do to resolve the situation, depending on what situation they're going through. So as soon as they jump in, let me know. Now, moving on, how do you spot and stop the negative influences? Well, let's break it down podcast style. First, let's do a quick check-in. If you've ever left a conversation feeling worse than when you started, type "me too" in the chats, or, throw that high five into the comment section if you're listening live. Now, I know I've been there and it is no fun. So here is how you can start weeding out the bad apples. First and foremost, spot the toxic traits. Look for people who always bring negativity, drama, or disrespect in your life. If you feel anxious, drained, or just plain bad after talking to someone, that's a red flag. Think about the fact that when you're trying to negotiate for something positive in your life, and instead of them aiding you in trying to find solutions, instead they are only finding problems with the solutions that you come up with. Granted, not every idea that anyone comes up with is a good idea. If you were to start thinking about names of a business, if you were trying to create yourself an LLC or a C corporation, and you start brainstorming names of businesses, you'll come to find that, in case you didn't know, you'll come to find that a lot of the first handful of business names that you come up with are stupid. No, but somebody's going to find fault in it. You're brainstorming. But instead of having a negative Nancy just tell you that every name for the business sucks, they can start brainstorming some reasonably appropriate names based off of the type of product you're trying to create or the type of business you're trying to create, so that you can find a product that matches the business that you're trying to create. If they're consistently crossing your boundaries or making you feel small, it's time to take notice. So if you end up with one of those situations where you've got a buddy and we call it cock blocking. It's what happens is when you are in a situation where you're trying to promote yourself, and promoting yourself in business is advertising your company, advertising your services, advertising your brand. But in your personal life, promoting yourself is trying to make new friends. Promoting yourself is trying to engage with the opposite sex, or same sex, however you guys are looking at it. But so if guys are out there and one of your bros is blocking, you're not able to hook up with this chick. You're not able to connect or formulate the bond with the chick. Likewise, if you're trying to get a job opportunity and your partner is making it seem like you're not fit for the job, you could be in a situation where you're being interviewed and your partner is providing responses that negatively impacts your persona, even though you didn't say that. You're affiliating with somebody who did, which might deter the person interviewing you from accepting you based on your association. So you have to be able to make sure that you're not engaging or allowing individuals to engage you that accidentally or deliberately on a repetitive basis drag you down. You have to check yourself sometimes. We stick around in these relationships because we're afraid of being lonely, or because we feel relationship or responsible for the other person in the relationship. So saying that again, we allow ourselves to be in relationships that are not positive for us because we're afraid of being lonely, or because we feel responsible for the other person. We also have situations where um, we feel indebted to the other person because they may have done something for us that benefited us in the past. And now we are putting up with their negative behavior because had it not been for them when times were tough, we would be suffering more now than what we currently are. So we feel duty bound to the other person to reciprocate by putting up with their behavior, in addition to aiding them in their success. You got to be careful about that. Ask yourself, am I staying out of habit, or is this person really adding value to my life? Now, if you're in a situation where individuals are adding to your value, adding to your success, and they just have poor characteristics, you've got to be able to stand on those non-negotiable expectations for behavior. If you were to stand on those non-negotiable expectations for behavior, if someone keeps bringing you down, it's okay to say, hi, hey guy, I need some space, or even step back completely. You could just like stop responding to text messages, stop responding to emails. If you're not on social media at all because you're trying to fix whatever it is that you got going on, they're not going to feel like you're ignoring them because you're in the chats, you're in the comment sections, but you're not responding to just that one person. You get off of social media altogether, so they can't say, oh well, he's ignoring me. It's like, nah, he ain't logged in a minute. You feel me? That's a completely different perspective. You don't owe anyone your peace of mind. And if they keep ignoring your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, it's totally fine to block or mute them online, block them on your cell phone, just really remove the negativity out of the life that you're trying to build. Now, here's the fun part. Go out and find people who lift you up. If you're joining those new groups, volunteering for a cause that you love or something that you can benefit from, or just spend more time with friends who make you laugh and feel supported, you'll be able to experience the fruits of your rewards. Learn your support system. Create your support system, meaning that you're going to be finding individuals that can provide you with the type of support that you need. Like with me, you can get wisdom. With someone else, you might get a ride. You might get resources that you need. You might get a plate of food. You're also trying to figure out how you're going to be beneficial to these individuals, because a positive relationship must have reciprocation, not necessarily the exact same thing that you receive, but something of equivocal value to the other person as the thing that they provided to you. If you're struggling to let go of any individuals in your network, talk to a trusted friend, mentor, or even a professional. Because I'll tell you, you're not alone in this. Everyone needs a little help sometime. So if you come to me and you say, hey, buddy, I've been trying to drop these folks, but I just don't know how. I can give you some of the funniest ways to do it, some of the most disrespectful ways to do it, but I would prefer and encourage for you to do it in the most appropriate and professional way possible, even if it's friends and family members, because when you are doing something that is counterproductive to somebody else's objective, they will always take it offensively. They will always take it as a threat or a danger to their position, which doesn't compromise their best interest, but because it compromises their selfish desires, they will argue that your actions are a danger to their objectives. You got to be able to show them that that's not the case. So make this your challenge. If you've ever had a breakup with a toxic friend or a colleague, I want you guys to share your story in the chat. And I want you to be able to tell us, how did you handle that? What changed for you after the fact? Because I'd love to hear your experiences. Being able to navigate through these things and build yourself a better network, that is the power of a strong network, is being able to utilize the network after you've built it. So I want you guys to get intentional about your contacts and your connections. Go to every event. First of all, you got to purge your cell phone. Contacts that you haven't talked to in more than 10 years, you just got to purge your cell phone. Just because you remove them up from your contact list doesn't mean that they don't still have your number. If you're not going to talk to them, get them out of your contact list. Then go to some events, join groups, exchange contact information, and put yourself out there. But remember, it's not just about what you can get. It's about what you can give. So make sure that you be supportive and be curious and watch your opportunities multiply. So I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever had a networking experience that changed your life? Let me know in the comments and share your story. And if you guys are ready to talk and take your networking skills to the next level, I want you guys to stick around for upcoming episodes where we'll be diving into the secrets of killing communication. And killing communication is the severance or loss or lack of communication in a engagement of any kind. And we've navigated through these shortcomings from a relationship standpoint, but we do need to navigate through these shortcomings through a professional and platonic fashion. As we do so, you guys will learn how to reassess your situation for your own better improvement. Be that as it may, I want to tell you guys that's all I got for you guys for tonight's show. I want you ladies to make sure that y'all note that as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then fellas, we're about 75% male-driven podcast from a male's perspective. So all of the information here is designed to help men become a higher value man. But ladies, y'all can learn something from this too. Y'all can learn how men think. Y'all can learn why men are behaving differently than what you're used to from the past. And you can also follow all of the tips and tricks and information that I give the guys that you ladies can utilize to make yourselves better and perceivably, at least from your own eyes, higher valued women in comparison to the men. But just note that what a man wants from a woman is non-tangible, and what a man needs from a woman is non-tangible, which means that you can't buy your way into a relationship. Yeah, it makes things easier, but that's not what he was looking for. So we're going to be talking more about information like that as we go into tomorrow night's show. So I want you guys to stick around. We're going to be starting around about the same time as we did today. Just note that since we're live 7 nights a week, that we will have a different topic, and you should love each one of them. So I want you guys to hit that like and subscribe button as we roll out of here tonight. Any comments that go into the comment section during the outro will be added to the screen up here as long as they're appropriate comments. I want to thank you guys again for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. respects my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.